What we were discussing in last class? This keyword, right? Okay. So today we need to discuss about null pointer exception, reference variable, types of reference variables, null and null pointer exception we have to understand. Okay, have you developed bank project? Remaining work have you finished? You want me to help anything? Okay. So now let's try to understand reference variable and types of referenced variables. Tell me first point, what is a referenced variable? A variable that is created by using referenced data type, class or array is called referenced variable. I'm writing something like this. Int a equal to 10. Is it a reference variable? No. It is a primitive variable. I'm writing like this. String s equal to double quotes a. String s equal to double quotes a. Is it a reference variable? Yes. S is a variable of what type? String. String is a class name.
What else
Class
is
name
recorded
reference.
positive
Next,
for the recommendation.
equal to
They keep up the other level. Some certain should be in writing and should be conveyed to the government of India by the Chief Justice of India,
reference
along with his view to the extent set out in the body of his opinion. The CGI is obliged to comply with.
it is a reference variable. Any disturbance you have? Okay, I muted all. Okay. So integer I equal to have written like this. Tell me now, IA is a variable of what? Reference type. And next, I'm creating my own class called example. Example E1 equal to new example I have written. And tell me, new example is object. E1 equal to the example E1. E1 is a referenced variable. Okay, na? And so what is a reference variable? A variable that is created by using reference data type, class name or array is called referenced variable. Okay, what the use of reference variable? Referenced variable is used for storing reference of an object. S variable is created and its object, string object data, 1010, 1010. And here string object content A is stored, reference 1010 stored here, pointing to it. It is used for storing object reference and accessing the members available in the object in the next line. So referenced variable is used for storing object reference and reusing that object in the next lines of the code. Tell me here, IA variable is created and array object is created. Did I mention any values here? No. It is a empty array. So 2020 created, IA variable contain 2020 and pointing to it. Okay, now example E1 equal new example. Here example class is loaded into JVM and static variables memory allocated, static blocks are executed, then new instance is created with reference 3030. Inside x variable, inside example class, assume two variables are there, x and y. X and y variables memory allocated. With the default value 0, 0 and replace with the given values 10 and 20. Now reference 3030 stored here, pointing to it. Okay, now? Whereas if you take primitive variable, what happened? A memory created with what value? 10 directly stored. So where all these reference variables are created in Java stacks area, in a main thread, main method, stack frame. Where all these objects are created in a heap area. Okay, now? So hope you understand what is reference variable, why referenced variable, where referenced variable is created. Now we need to understand. If I declare all these referenced variables inside method, they will be provided memory inside where Java stacks area in main thread, in main method stack frame. If I create these referenced variables as a static referenced variables, they are provided memory inside method area. If I declare them as a non-static variables, they are provided memory inside heap area. So the first point we completed, what is a reference variable, what the use of it. Next, we need to understand types of referenced variables. Okay, Java supports 4 types of referenced variables. First one is static referenced variable. Second one is third one is parameter. Fourth one is okay. We have totally 4 reference variables. I like primitive variables here. Okay, reference variables also like primitive variables, 4 types of variables. First 2 types of variables are what? Class level. Next 2 types of variables are method level. Now tell me, I am creating a class called example. In this class example, I am taking 2 variables, syntax equal to 10 into y equal to 20. Right? I need to, if you want to create reference variable, I need one reference data type. So I created my own. Now I'm creating class called test. Inside class test, I'm going to write something like this. Example E1 semicolon. Inside a class, I have written example E1. Tell me, E1 variable, what type? E1 variable is a referenced variable of what type? Is it class level variable or method level variable? Type means here example, okay. E1 is a example type. I'm talking about declaration. What type of variable is it? Is it a class level or method level? Class level. Class level, there are 2 types of variables are there. Static variable and non-static variable. Tell me, is it a static variable or non-static variable? It is a non-static variable because there is no static keyword. Now I'm writing static here. Now this is a static referenced variable. And next, I'm writing here example E2. Now E2 variable is, this is non-static referenced variable. Okay. And next, I'm creating one method called void m1. It may be static method or non-static method. Now here I'm writing example E3. Now it is a parameter variable. Already deal parameter. I hope remember. Already we learn parameters. And now I'm writing here example E4. And tell me, it is a local variable, already you know. So I have created, I'm creating a class called, let's say, sample class. It is okay, sample. Now tell me, it is a static reference variable. It is a non-static reference variable. It is a parameter reference variable. It is a local referenced variable. So all you people tell me, when these variables are provided memory, it is not a new point. All you people know, please try to answer. When static variable get memory, when class loaded into JVM. When non-static variable get memory, when object is created. When parameter and local variables are get memory, when method is called. Now I am asking the same question again. When this E1 variable get memory, when example class loaded into JVM or when sample class loaded into JVM. E1 variable type is example, then which class loaded E1 variable provided memory? Example class loaded or sample class loaded? Please apply some common sense and try to answer. Don't behave like a brainless persons, okay? You are not brainless people. You have wonderful brain, beautiful brain, super brain you have. Please try to use your brain. When example class loaded, example members will get memory. When you drink water, your stomach will be filled. How my stomach will be filled? When you eat food, your stomach will be filled. How my stomach will be filled? Tumri fellows, brainless fellows. When example class loaded, example class x and y variable, static blocks get memory. How E1 variable get memory? Huh? How many days you will confuse? How many days you will use your brain? If you want provide E1 memory, example class should load into JVM. E1 is a member of whom? E1 is a member of sample class. Then when sample class loaded, E1 get memory. When sample class object is created, E2 provided memory. When example class object created, how to E2 provided memory? When example class object is created, example class variables are provided memory. How E2 variable provided memory? Understand? Come on, expecting answer from everyone. Stop using your brain, start think. Don't blindly, don't work. E1 want to provide memory. Which class? E1 is a variable. Of what type? Example. It is a member of whom? Sample. So when sample is loaded, its members are provided memory. So tell me, when E1 get memory? When its enclosing class is loaded into JVM. Sample class is called enclosing class. Enclosing means open bracket, closed bracket is called what? Enclosing, in which the variable is declared is called enclosing. E1 variable is declared in sample class. E2 variable is declared in sample class. Tell me now. When E2 variable get memory, when example class object created or when sample class object created? Sample class. When sample class object is created, E2 variable provided memory. When E3 and E4 variables will be provided memory? When example class method called or M1 method called? M1 method of sample class called E3, E4 called. Everyone understand? Now, I want you to draw memory for this program. Class test. open bracket, closure bracket, public static void main of string array args. All people work yourself. Draw JVM architecture for this program. Sample S1 equal to new sample. That's it. Just I have written the statement like this. This much only. Write on this program and tell me what is the memory diagram. Draw JVM architecture memory diagram for below program. Draw JVM architecture memory diagram for below program. Work out. Did you get an idea what to do? First, which class loaded into JVM? Test class. In method area, test class is loaded. In method area, test class contain any static variables, any static blocks? No. Then going to main method. In main method, now main method stack frame is created in Java stacks area. In that args variable is created with empty array object. Then S1 variable memory created. Right? S1 variable in Java stacks array, S1 variable memory created. Okay, and then equal to, tell me, now object is created. Is object created immediately? No. What happened? Now first, example class is loaded into JVM. In method area, E1 variable memory allocated. E1 variable memory allocated with the default value null. Okay, sample class is loaded. Example class E1 variable memory allocated with the default value null. Then now the sample class object created. This is Java stacks area and this is method area. Now in heap area, sample class object is created. In sample class object, E2 variable memory created with the default value null. Okay. Then reference 1010 stored in S1 variable pointing to it. Everyone understand? Then now I'm calling, I want to call M1 method. Tell me to call M1 method. Tell me example class loaded into JVM up to now. Expecting answer from everyone. Is example class loaded into JVM up to now? No. Example class loaded into JVM only at least one member from that class if you access. I didn't access any member. Just reference variable is created, class is not loaded. Okay. Now if you want to call example class M1 method, I need example class object. So now here I am creating example E5 equal to new example. Then in main method Java stacks area, E5 variable memory created. Now the new keyword will load example class. In example class, there are no static variables. Directly object is created in heap area. This is example class object with reference 2020, X variable, Y variable memory created 0, 0, replace with 10, 20, 2020 stored in E5 pointing to it. Everyone understand? So final discussion is what? Static variable provided memory in method area. Yeah, 1 minute here. I have to call S1 dot M1 of E5. Then control go to M1 method. Now control will go to M1 method with E5 reference. What E5 reference? 2020. And S1 reference. What is S1 reference? 1010. Tell me how many parameters method this M1 method? 2 parameters method. This keyword created with what value? 1010 pointing to SA object. Next, E3 variable created 2020 and pointing to example object available in heap area. And now E4 variable is created with no value. So totally 3 variables are there. So this is Java stacks area, M1 method stack frame. This is Java stacks area, main method stack frame. So local variables and parameters of M1 method, main method created in its own stack frame. Local variable and parameter of M1 method created in its own stack frame. But when you create object, all objects created from any method will be allocated in heap area and they are shareable to all methods available in the class. Okay, now? So this is what I'm expecting you to understand. Hope you understand types of variables. Yeah, types of variables are of 4 types. Static variables, non-static variables, parameter and local variables based on declaration place. Based on declaration place, we have how many types of variables? 4 types of variables. And now look at that. Based on the value we have three types of variables. Okay, number one, object referenced variable. Number two, null referenced variable. Number three, empty referenced variable. Okay, based on the place declaration, we have four types of variables. Now, all these four types of variables, again, based on the value, we have three types of variables. What are the three types of variables? Object reference variable, null reference variable, and empty reference variable. Okay, let me give you a small statement here and you try to identify. I am writing example E1 equal to new example. Example E2 equal to null. Example E3 semicolon. All you people decide and tell me. E1 variable is what type of variable? E1 variable, what type of variable? It is reference variable era babu. E2 also reference variable. Intra by apply some common sense here. It is a reference. All three are referenced variables here, kada. All are three are referenced variables. I am already given a heading. Are you working like a Gajini, Srabai? 1 second, Gajini. This E1 is object reference variable, or null reference variable, or empty reference variable. That is what my question, right? E1 is object reference variable. E2 is null reference variable. E3 is empty reference variable. Why? Based on the assigned value. A variable, a referenced variable that is assigned with an object is called object referenced variable. A reference variable that is initialized with the object reference is called object referenced variable. Then what is null reference variable? A variable that is initialized with null is called null referenced variable. Now the question, is null an object, a separate circle null created? If we store null inside a circle, that means value of the object. Null is not an object, like 1010, like 2020, what is stored? Null is also a reference, which is not pointing to any object. So null is a default reference of a default reference value of an referenced variable. Null is a default value to a referenced variable that which not representing any object. Do you remember, do you understand, from the day beginning I am taking four values, 10 10 20 20 30 30. Why I am taking four values? Because the default value of every object, every reference variable is null. Four letters now to match in that four values I am taking. Okay, now that is the secret behind 10 10 20 20. Next, E3 variable is created. Tell me, what is E3 variable? It is a empty reference variable. A variable that is not initialized with either object reference or with null is called empty reference variable. Empty reference variable contains any value? No. Everyone understand? Still doubt? Object reference variable, null reference variable, empty reference variable. Then tell me, once you create reference variable, what the use of them? They are used for accessing the members of the class from the object. System.out.println e1.x I am writing. System.out.println e1 e2.x I have written. System.out.println e3.x I have written. After writing these three statements, now you are giving these three statements to compiler. Then compiler will start verifying, right? These three statements are allowed to compile or not, checking. Na? Tell me, compiler follows. Whenever you are accessing a variable, compiler will verify, is that variable can I access or not? What the basic rules of the compiler to access variable? Variable should have declaration and variable must be initialized with some value. Then only we can access. Here in this line, how many variables I am accessing? In this line, how many variables I am accessing? Two variables I am accessing, E1 and X. If E1 allowed you to access, then we can think about X variable to access or not. And tell me first, if you want to access E1 variable, how many rules you must verify? Declaration must be there, initialization must be there. E1 variable declaration is there, and E1 variable initialization also there. So no problem, this is right. Next, tell me. Example E2 equal to example E2 dot X. Compiler searching for E2 variable found. Declaration there, initialization also there. Sir, but it is initialized with null now, sir. Compiler don't know the difference between object and null. It knows only the value there or not. It is also compiled. Compiler also compiled. SOPLN E3 dot X. Tell me, is it compiled or not? SOPLN E3 dot X. E3 variable declaration available, but value initialization is not there. If a value initialization is not there, you cannot access. Compiler throw error. Compiler throw error. Variable E3 cannot, variable E3 might not have been initialized. Okay, variable E3 might not have been initialized, you'll get compile time error. Then tell me, what is the difference between, okay, compilation is over. Now I'm commenting it. Now, these two statements are compiled successfully. Now I want to execute. This is a compiler. Okay, now JVM come into picture. What JVM will do? JVM will verify also declaration available or not, value available or not. Compiler will see just value available or not, but JVM will not see just value available or not. JVM will see is that value is object or is that value is null. It clearly verified. And tell me, when I write e1.x, what the meaning of the statement? Compilers, JVM must read x value from E1 variable pointing object. E1 variable pointing object. Is E1 variable pointing to any object? Yes. So what is the output will come? 10. It is successfully compiled and successfully executed. We got output 10. Then when you access E2.x, JVM meaning is what? Read x value from E2 pointing object. E2 pointing object is what? Null. So null means what? Is it pointing to any object? No. Then JVM come back and tell you, Hare Krishna, you asking me to read x value from E2 pointing object, but E2 not pointing to any object. It is a null pointer. So we'll get an exception, null pointer exception. Everyone understand? We'll get exception, null pointer exception. So what is the null pointer exception? So an exception, I mean, null pointer exception is a runtime error. It connect runtime, no? So runtime error. If you access non-static variable or non-static method by using null referenced variable, you will get null pointer exception. Repeating again, if you access non-static variable or non-static method by using null referenced variable, you will get null pointer exception. JVM, by throwing null pointer exception, JVM informing to the programmer, this variable is not pointing to any object. This variable is not pointing to any object, it is trying to tell you. Okay, now? Then what is the solution to this problem? You have two solutions. Solution number one, assign object to that variable. Okay, assign object to that variable. Number two, use if condition, checking not equal to null. Okay, that variable E2 is not equal to null, then only read value. If it is equal to null, don't read value. So there are two solutions to solve null pointer exception. Assign a new object to it or use if condition not execute E2.x if not E2 is null. So hope all people understand what is a null, what is null pointer exception. Can you please conclude what is the difference between object referenced variable and null referenced variable? A variable that is referencing to an object is called object reference variable. A variable that contains null as its value is called null reference variable. Using object reference variable, we can access non-static variable, non-static method, no compile time error, no runtime error, will get output. Using null referenced variable, if we access a non-static variable or non-static method, we don't get compile time error, but we'll get exception, null pointer exception. Because to access non-static members, they should have memory in the object. So if the variable is not pointing to object, we'll get null pointer exception. Okay, is a null reference variable and empty reference variable are both the same? Can you please answer? Is null reference variable and empty reference variable are both the same? No. Null reference variable and empty reference variable not same. They are completely different. A variable that is initialized with null is called null reference variable. A variable that is not initialized either with value, either with null or with object reference is called empty referenced variable. Next, using null reference variable, we can access non-static variable or non-static method, but it leads to runtime error, null pointer exception. Okay. But using empty referenced variable, you cannot access non-static variable or non-static method. It leads to compile time error. Completed, all of you will understand reference variable, types of reference variables. Can you try to talk all points quickly? Topic completed. Point number 1. What is a reference variable? A variable that is created inside a variable that is created with reference data type, class name or array is called reference variable. Next. What is the use of reference variable? A reference variable is used for storing object reference and reusing the members available in that object in the next lines of the code. Third, how many types of reference variables we have? Yeah, based on the declaration, we have 4 types of reference variables: static reference variable, non-static reference variable, parameter reference variable, and local reference variable. Based on the value we store in the reference variable, we have 3 types of reference variable: object reference variable, null reference variable, and empty reference variable. Okay, when static reference variable, when static, non-static, parameter, local reference variables are provided memory and where? Static reference variable get memory when its enclosing class is loaded into JVM in a method area. Non-static reference variable get memory when its enclosing class object is created in heap area. Parameter and local variables are provided memory when its enclosing method is called in Java stacks area. Okay. How can we access static reference variable, non-static reference variable, local reference variable? Static reference variable we can access by using class name E1 or by using sample class name dot sample dot E1. Non-static reference variable we can access by using object reference S1 dot E2. S1 dot E2. Okay. Parameter and local variables we access directly by their name in the method only. Next, sixth question. The object assigned to static reference variable or non-static reference variable we can access in all methods of current class. Also we can access in another methods also. In another methods which are defined in another class. Because static variable and non-static variable values are shareable. The objects assigned to parameter or local variable we can access only within that method, cannot access from another method. Already known points these are. Seventh point. What is the object reference variable, null reference variable, and empty reference variable? A variable that is initialized with object reference is called object reference variable. A variable that is initialized with null is called null reference variable. A variable that is not initialized with either object reference or null reference is called empty reference variable. What are the rules in calling members by using object reference variable, null reference variable, empty reference variable? Using object reference variable, we can access both static and non-static members, no compile time error, no runtime error. Using null referenced variable, we can access static members. We can access static members because already they have memory na. Static members are already have memory, no problem we can access. But we cannot access non-static members, it leads to null pointer exception. Using null referenced variable, we can access static member, but we cannot access non-static member. Everybody understand? Next, using empty referenced variable, we cannot access either static variable or non-static variable. Compiler throw error for the variable itself. Next, ninth point. All of you will answer. What is the need of null referenced variable? When we cannot access non-static members, what is the need of null reference variable? What is the need of null reference variable? Very simple. I want to create a referenced variable now, and I want to initialize that variable either from first method or second method or third method or at first line or second line or third line. I want to declare now, later at execution time, I will initialize it. Repeating again, I will declare variable now, initialize variable at runtime. Then I will use null reference variable. Again repeating, what is the need of null referenced variable? Null referenced variable is used for declaring variable at a development time and initializing that variable with object at runtime. We will use null reference variable. Then immediately you should ask me a question. Then we will use empty reference variable. So then what is the need of null reference variable? Okay, what you have seen the difference between null reference variable, empty reference variable? At a program compilation time, I want to declare one variable without initializing object, but I want to use that variable to access the non-static members of this class. Allowed or not allowed? Not allowed. Compiler is throwing error. So if you want to overcome this compile time error and go to runtime, I should assign some value to it. Na? That value is null. So if you want to declare a variable without any initializing object, but want to use that variable for accessing non-static variable or non-static method of the class and initialize that variable at runtime, then we should choose null reference variable. That is the purpose of null reference variable. All you understand what the need of null reference variable? Null reference variable is used for creating reference variable without initializing object and want to use that variable to access the members of the class, then we should choose null reference variable. Then if we use a null reference variable, we'll get null pointer exception. How to solve null pointer exception? To solve null pointer exception, we have to use whether we should assign the object or we should use not equal to null condition. Okay, then 11th question, try to answer, sir. Can I create object reference variable anywhere in the class, either at class level or inside a method? Yes. Can I create null referenced variable anywhere in the class? Yes, either at class level or inside method. Can I create null referenced variable anywhere in the class? variable without assigning null. Are they really empty reference variables? No, they are not empty reference variable. They are null reference variables. You can create empty reference variable only inside a method only. Okay. So this is the story about reference variable and types of reference variables, all points. Can I hope all people understand? That's all about reference variable and types of reference variables. Now moving to the next topic. Yeah, if you want to take screenshot, you can take. Difference between all three variables. Next topic. From this reference variable, we are getting null pointer exception. So what is null? What is null pointer exception? Yeah, I told you what is a null. A null is a reference. It's a default value of a reference variable. What is null? Is null a class? What is null? Is null a class? Is null an object? Is null a literal? Is null a keyword? Null is a literal. It is a reserved word. It is a literal. It is not a keyword. Okay. Null is not a class. Null is not an object. Null is not a keyword. Null is a literal. Okay. What is the, when you say literal, then what is its type? Okay. Now, if you take 10, 10.5, double quote say true, double quote say, these are also literals. In the same way, null is also a literal. Means it is also a value. Then every value has a type. Then what is its type? Null type is nothing. Yes, generally people say null type is nothing. Actually, it is a wrong answer. Null type is not nothing. Null type is reference type. Then there are so many reference types are there. 7 reference types are there. Which reference type? Any reference type. What is its type? Null is of any referenced data type, array or class or interface or abstract class or concrete class or final class or enum or annotation or Java Java 14 version record. Okay, any of these 8 types from Java 14 onwards, we got a new type of class called record. Any of these 8 types. So null is of any referenced data type, array or class or interface. It means null can be stored in any of the 7 or 8 referenced data type referenced variables. Look at that. Int array type variable, null allowed to store. String type variable, a type variable, runnable type variable, example type variable. Any type of variable you take, null can be stored. Everyone understand? Then why null? What type of null? Null type is any of the reference type variable. Then why null? Null is used for creating a reference variable without assigning any object, but want to use it to access non-static variable without getting compiled error. Then we assign the variable with null. Hope you understand the statement just before in before slide I have explained, just I have written it here. Okay, problems with null. Whenever you are working with null, null is not a particular value, no, null is not representing any value, right? So null creates three problems. What the type of null? No type for it. Because there is no special type for it, we will get compile time errors. Okay, we will get compile time error. Null cannot be dereferenced. We'll get a compile time error, ambiguous error. We'll get compiled runtime error, null pointer exception. So null creates three problems. What are the different problems we face with null? Because there is no special type for it. With 10, no problem. 10.5, no problem. Single quotient, no problem. True, no problem. Double quotient, no problem. Because they have special type. But null is a literal, but don't have any special type for it. So we face four problems. What is that? For example, if I write here, e1.x, what the meaning of e1.x? Search for x variable in e1 type class. What the e1 type class? Example. Search for x variable in example class. In example class, x variable is there. Now if you write null.x, are you catching my point? If I write null.x, then compiler confused. Where I should search for x variable? In integer, in string, in a, in runnable, in example. Null is of any reference type. Where it should search? Compiler is getting confusion and throw error. Null cannot be dereferenced. Are you understanding? Next. Now try to answer. I am writing a system out println null. Do you remember println is not a one method, it is a overloaded method. Okay, println is a overloaded method. There are so many methods, so many println methods are there. Whenever you call a method, okay, tell me, when I call m1 of 10, compiler searching for int parameter m1 method because 10 is of type int. If you call m1 of 10.5, compiler searching for which parameter method? Double parameter. If I write m1 of single quote a, compiler searching for which parameter method? Char parameter method. Like that. If I call m1 of null, can we pass null as an argument to a method directly? Yes. If m1 of null, when you pass, null is a what type? Any referenced data type. So execute m1 of any reference data type parameter method. Okay, look at here. I'm writing m1 of object obj, m1 of string s. If you call m1 of null, control will come to m1 method. To which parameter method to execute? There is a confusion. Hello, or else come here. I call m1 of null. Then null value is searching for where reference type. We have string reference type, we have carrier reference type. Then compiler get confused. Which parameter I should call? It is throwing error. Null is of any reference type. Which reference to execute it don't understand. So throwing error. What is the error throwing? Ambiguous error. Everyone understand? Same way, when I write SOPLN null, println method, there are so many parameter println methods are there. Then which parameter println to execute, compiler cannot understand. Hence, we throwing compile time error, ambiguous error. So if you access non-static variable or non-static method, static variable or static method directly with null, we'll get compile time error. Null cannot be dereferenced. If you pass null as an argument, and if null is matched with multiple parameters, multiple reference parameters, then we will get compile time error, ambiguous error. And next, when you get null pointer exception, if you access a non-static variable or non-static method by using null referenced variable, then we'll get null pointer exception. Okay, can you solve first compile time error? Null cannot be dereferenced. No, you cannot solve because null doesn't have any type. Can you solve null pointer exception? Yes, by assigning object to the null reference variable or by using if condition. Can you solve ambiguous error? Yes. Why you got ambiguous error? Because there is no type to the null. Look at here, m1 of null, m1 method parameter is runnable. Tell me, null is matching with how many reference type? Only one. So any compile time error? No compile time error. But if you come to here, when I call m1 of null, there are two parameters are there. Both parameters are matched with this null. There is a ambiguous error. So if the method if the invoked method is a overloaded method with the different reference data types, then which parameter method is executed? If you pass null, then compiler throw error. It is a programmer responsibility to specify type to the null, because null doesn't have common specific type. It is your responsibility to specify type to the null. We have two ways to specify type to the null, with a variable assignment and with cast operator. Variable assignment means assign null to the variable string s, assign variable null to the char array, then pass s1 ch. S1 variable what type? String. Then string parameter method executed. Ch variable is what type? Char array. Char array parameter method executed. Otherwise what? By using cast operator. Null is of type string. String parameter executed. Null is of type char array. Char array parameter method is executed. Everyone understand? So can you please repeat once again? What is a null? A null is a literal. It is a reserved. It is a reserved word. It is a literal. Now what type of literal it is? It is any reference data type literal. It doesn't have any specific type. Then how can we specify type? We can specify type by using variable assignment or cast operator. What are the problems we face with null? With null we will face three problems. Null cannot be dereferenced, ambiguous error, null pointer exception. We cannot solve the first line, you have to comment it, because null doesn't have any specific type. We can solve ambiguous error by specifying the type either by using variable or by using cast operator. We can solve null pointer exception by assigning object or by using if condition. Okay, now? So here, how can we solve ambiguous error? By specifying null to it. How can I specify type to the null? Okay, so please take screenshot. This is the story about null related all points. And this box is very important. Why null? Null is used for creating a referenced variable without assigning an object, but want it to access non-static variable without getting compile time error, then we should assign default value null. Completed? Okay, now let's try to understand null pointer exception. What is null pointer exception, and when will we get it, and why we will get it? So null pointer exception is a runtime error. It is an unchecked exception. If you invoke non-static variable or non-static method with a null reference variable, we will get null pointer exception. By throwing this exception, JVM informing us that reference is not pointing to any object. Hence, it cannot be accessed, read, modify non-static variable value, cannot execute non-static method logic. How can we solve null pointer exception? We must assign object to this reference variable. How can we stop this exception coming, or how can we handle this exception? We must check the reference variable is a null reference variable or not by using if condition. Okay, example e1 equal to null, soplin e1.x will get null pointer exception. To not get this exception, you should write e1 not equal to null, e1.x. Hey, by using if condition, we solve the exception now, we stopped a coming exception. Is my question understand? Using if condition, are you solving null pointer exception, or Are you stopping null point exception? We are not solving null pointer exception. Okay, we are not solving, we are just stopping not to get. Okay, how can we solve? Only by assigning object. Look at here, class example, m1 method has string s, system dot out dot println s dot to uppercase. m1 of hk is passed as argument to s dot to uppercase, capital HK coming. I pass m1 of null is coming to s, null dot to uppercase. What happened? We'll get null pointer exception. Why you got null pointer exception? Because s variable value is null. By using if condition, can you solve null pointer exception? No, only we are stopping null pointer exception. By passing bk, now the problem solved. You pass bk, s variable is bk dot to uppercase, capital BK come. Now observe the m2 method. m2 of string s I have written. I am passing NIT. NIT not equal to null? Yes. To uppercase, capital NIT we got. I pass null. By passing null, what I did? I stop null pointer exception to execute this line. Control go to else block. Don't pass null, message is displayed. Can I pass null in double quotes? We can pass. Now this is a null string object with the characters null. It is a string object with the characters null. Then it is not null. S dot to uppercase, capital NULL will come. Okay. So this is the story about null pointer exception. Take screenshot. So that's the story about null pointer exception related all points. Can you try these programs by your own in your system? Should I show you in my system? Are you that much weak? For your confirmation purpose, you try yourself, okay? Yeah. Now the next topic is working with a toString method. Working with the toString method. Look at here. I have created a class object and then I am writing system.out.println even. What is displayed on console? Class name at the rate hash code is displayed, right? Control 1 compiled, control 2 executed. I have to go to command prompt. Okay, we got class name at the rate hash code. Okay, we need to understand one point here. This class name at the rate hash code, you are printing object, but what is coming on the console? This is object or string. It is a string. So object information is displaying as what type? String type. Okay, object information is displaying as a string type. So if you want to display object information in string format, then we have to pass SOPLN. Okay. But what println method will do in background? How println method can get information about this object in string format? Tell me, you can get information about me? Println is you, even is I. How can you get information? You are not getting information directly by your own. You are calling nareshit.com. On nareshit.com, my information is there. That means you are using some mediator between you and me. Like nareshit.com, now we have a special method called, like nareshit.com, we have a special method called toString method. The past object dot toString method is called. It is very difficulty point. Please try to accept. Don't try to understand. Whenever you call println of any object, that object dot toString method is called. All you people answer. Whenever you call a method by using a referenced variable, compiler JVM search for that method in referenced variable class. Na? What is the referenced variable class? Example. In class example, do you have toString method? No. Then it is searching in the super class. Who is the super class of example? Object class. So object class implicitly contain toString method definition, open bracket, closed bracket, with logic. Read this object name and reference. Read this even class object. This object name is example and its reference is 1010. Convert this 1010 to hexa string format. Hexadecimal string format and return to it. So in java.lang.object class, toString method contains the logic to return object information as class name at the rate hash code. This hash code is nothing but a reference converted number. Is everyone understand? Repeating again. What is displayed when we display object? I'm asking question again, try to answer. What is displayed when we print object? When we display object, what is printed on console? Okay. All your answers are right and also wrong. You must give answer now onwards. ToString method return value. Class name at the rate hash code is right until you don't know about ToString method. Now you know the complete details. Now should not answer class name at the rate hash code. You must say ToString method return value will be displayed. Now I'm asking question again, try to answer. What will be displayed when, what will be displayed on the console when we display an object? ToString method return value will be displayed. Okay. Now that is a point number one. Point number two. Where ToString method available? By default, ToString method is available in java.lang.object class. If ToString method executed in java.lang.object class, class name at the rate hash code will be written. Point number three. Go back to methods chapter once. In methods chapter, I told you, I have a super class with one method. The method logic, I'm not satisfied. Okay. I don't want super class given logic. I want my own logic. Then where I should modify that code? In super class or in subclass? In subclass. Modifying super class method logic in subclass is called what? Is called what? Overriding. Method overriding. So tell me, ToString method returning class name at the rate hash code I don't want. I want my object data to display. Okay, I want my object data to display. So further purpose, what I need to do, I must override ToString method in the subclass. Then finally try to answer all 4 points. First point is what is ToString method? What the use of ToString method? ToString method is a predefined method. It is used for returning object information in string format. It is by default available in java.lang.object class. It returns a class name at the rate hash code of the currently displaying object. Next, when we print object, what is displayed? When we print object, ToString method return value will be displayed. The ToString method return value is either class name at the rate hash code or data of the object. If you don't override ToString method in the subclass, if you don't override ToString method in the subclass, it is executed from java.lang.object class and returns class name at the rate hash code in hexa string format. If you override, you will get whatever the value you want. Okay, everyone understand ToString method related points and displaying object background println method? Okay, now I'll show you a small program. Try to answer it. What I did, I am overriding ToString method. This is ToString method. I have defined in the class example means overriding. I am overriding ToString method by giving just message hi. Okay, and I displayed created object and call SOPLN E1. And tell me, when you call SOPLN E1, println method, implicitly what it will call E1 dot ToString method. Then JVM searching for ToString method in which class? E1 class. E1 object is example. In example class ToString available. Return what? Hi. Then what is coming and display in the console? Hi displayed. What the statement I told you? What is displayed when we display object? Below. What is displayed when we display object? ToString method return value is displayed. ToString returning value is what? Hi. Then what will come on the console? Hi will come. Go to command prompt. We'll get hi. Is everyone understand the flow? Any confusion? If I don't define ToString method in this class, what is displayed? Class name at the rate hash code in string format. If you override ToString method in the subclass, then it is executed from look at their hi is coming. Okay now? Okay, why are you overriding ToString method? For displaying hi, hello, how are you now? No. ToString method we are overriding for two purposes. Number one, for returning either class name at the rate hash code or for returning data of the object. Okay, tell me, where data of the object available? In a non-static variable. So from ToString method, what should I return? X. Can you return X directly? No, compiler throw error because X is a primitive value, return type is string. Then how can I convert string? How can I convert primitive value to string? By attaching one empty string. When we add empty string, this X will become what? Text. Look at that. What will be displayed on the console? Even object value. What the even object value? X value 10. 10 will come. Hey, already following I want to display complete data of the object. That means I want to display Y also. Then write plus Y. Ten to 20 displaying side by side. I want space. Then provide space. Save. I want to tell this 10 and 20 belongs to example class. Then you can also write example here. In which pattern you want to display that pattern, you can write your wish. I want to separate them by comma. compile it, execute. Okay, now. So this is the basic idea about toString method working functionality with the class. Any doubts? And tell me what is the output of this program? Come on. E1 is an object reference variable I can access. E2 null reference variable I can access. E3 empty reference variable. Line number 16, you will get compile time error. Variable E3 might not have been initialized. Okay. Then tell me, what is the output you will get here? E2. Whenever you are trying to display object, what will be done? Background toString method is called. ToString method return high, high will be displayed here. What about this one? Here toString method called or not called? Println method implicitly toString method is called or not called? Println method if implicitly called toString method by using E2. E2 value what? Null. Null dot non-static method null pointer exception will come na. So println method call E2 with dot toString or not called? Not called. It has implicitly if condition to verify E2 is a null or not. If E2 is a null, toString method is not called, null as it is displayed. That's a common sense here. At this stage, you should get all the points. Previously learned points should carry, should not forget. High, null. E2 is an object reference, so toString method is called display high. E2 is a null reference. So toString method is not called directly, null is displayed. Okay. So what the point you need to understand? If you toString method implicitly called inside println method only, if you try to display object referenced variable but not null referenced variable. Okay. Now tell me. Previously, I didn't call toString method. Can I also call toString method explicitly? Yes. If I call explicitly toString method, any problem here? No. Any problem here? Compilation time, no problem. Any problem here? Yes. Compile time problem will get. Variable E3 might not have been initialized. So we must comment it. Tell me. At runtime E21.toString, any problem? No problem. E2.toString at runtime, any problem? Yes. Okay, everyone understand? will get null pointer exception. E1 dot to string, no problem. Second E1 dot to string will get null pointer exception. Hi. So never call to string method by your own. If you call, you'll face null pointer exception. Can hope all people understand? Yeah. Now I want you to develop one small program. Develop a program to display student class object data on console when its object is displayed. Write on this program, small program. Try yourself. Completed? Mhm. Can I hope all these three topics understood to you? Reference variable, types of reference variable, null pointer exception, working with toString method. Any doubts, Burji? Yeah, Monday we will try to understand constructor and all types of constructors. Already second topic complete. Static constructor, copy constructor, difference between constructor and setter method, when to use which one, constructor overloading, constructor chaining. Monday class, constructor related all points we are going to discuss. Okay, Tuesday we will take illegal forward reference, recursive method called different ways of loading class into JVM. And here we will wind up object-oriented programming and all. Okay, tomorrow is a holiday from my side. Okay, now I'm not taking any class from my side tomorrow. Okay, but for you, you have class tomorrow. You yourself must revise object-oriented programming summary, types of languages, and what is OOP, why OOP, okay. And if you want to know null pointer exception, you can follow this video. Okay, now. So Monday we will have class. Monday we are going to discuss about next topics. Thank you everyone. See you all tomorrow. Bye. See you all on Monday. Thank you.